Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Infusionsoft Mastermind Call. I'm Michael Edelman with the live events team here at Infusionsoft, and as you'll see, we have a very interesting topic today. What is the ROI on everything you do? It's not a question that's necessarily easily answered, but today we're going to give you some awesome action steps and show you some live examples of how we can start to take a deeper look at what marketing materials are working and maybe what marketing materials aren't working as well as they should be. Before we get started and kicked off on this call, I do want to make sure that everybody's aware we do have a question box available to you. This is an interactive webinar, and we will make time to answer those questions as we wrap up today's call. Go ahead and pull that question box area open right now. That's on your right side in your GoToMeeting area, and let me know where you're listening in from today. I know I see a couple of familiar names out there. I just want to make sure you can hear me okay. And it looks like we have Terry from Chicago chiming in. Terry, welcome to today's call. And Dave from San Diego, that's where I'm from, Dave. I'm originally from Del Mar. I'm not sure what area you're from. Idaho, Alberta. Wes, always from the location that you listen to us. Thanks for coming, Wes. He's one of our certified partners as well. Brenda from Connecticut. Karen from Switzerland, making time from the European Union. Thank you, Karen. And then we have Brian from Chandler. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us as well. So we have some locals as we get this call started today, which is fantastic. You'll see on the bottom of this first slide, I do have a Twitter handle as well. Feel free to shoot me a follow, and if you do have any follow-up questions, because sometimes I know those come after the call ends, Twitter is a great way to get a hold of me with a quick hello, and you can go ahead and recite that question there as well. So again, use this question box to your advantage. Make sure you type them in as soon as those questions pop into your head, because as we go through, more questions may come, and we want to make sure we have those down. So I promise that we'll cycle back to those at the end and make sure we get them all answered. All right. Just a quick reminder here, June 10th at Infusionsoft headquarters. It's not too late. We do have some slots open for Infusionsoft University. So if you or someone you know is looking for a little bit more of a hands-on training experience, myself, along with Scott Richens, Greg Jenkins, and the rest of the university team will be on site to give you some hands-on training. You'll also see we have a UK date up there. That's at the end of this month, the 24th to the 27th. We will be traveling to London. So, Karen, I don't know if you can make the hop from Switzerland, but feel free to join us at university if you are looking for a little bit more of a hands-on training experience. And there's some more dates coming up as well. I know we're headed to Chicago in July. University.infusionsoft.com is the place to go. These do sell out very quickly, so you want to make sure that we throw a sold up banner there on the website if there's no more spots. So feel free to check those out as well. All right. Next, we have a couple of quick things that I wanted to point out. In between those two university dates, we are running what we call the Infusionsoft Implementation Accelerator here in Chandler, Arizona at Infusionsoft headquarters. The accelerator, which I know some of the people on this call have been a part of, is a great way to go from zero to hero in Infusionsoft very, very quickly. The best way to look at it is if you have any obstacles, whether it be strategy or maybe you need a copywriter, or maybe you need a videographer where you need to create some marketing videos, we take you, we put you with an Infusionsoft strategy expert, and then we actually bring in a bunch of resources, some external resources as well, like a copywriter, like a video team, that can actually help cut and make your marketing materials for you. That's the 18th through the 20th. If you aren't interested, make sure you go ahead and check out that link, infusionsoft.com/accelerator. And then at the top there, just a nice little plug for the icon library. I've been getting some awesome feedback from that. I've had the opportunity to watch a couple of the recorded presentations. If you didn't have a chance to make it to Icon 14 this year, or you're thinking about coming next year, you may want to take a peek at that library. So that's attendicon.com/addenda/library. So today's call, as we said, is actually I was laughing with Scott, who's actually helping co-host this presentation today. It's a little bit of a nerdy topic, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I mean that in a fun, nerdy way. We get to do a little bit of tracking using some Google Analytic principles as well as UTM URLs as well. So we're going to dive into it today. I just want to preface this by saying this is a mastermind call. It is a little bit more of an advanced call. So if there are things that you're looking to do that are more fundamental, we do have Infusionsoft's Virtual Academy, which you can find on our help.infusionsoft.com site. This is not going to be the place for that. We're turning it up a notch here, and Scott's going to be the man to do that. Scott, I wanted to welcome you to today's mastermind call and really thank you for being here today. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's hop into it.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks to everyone for being on. It's an honor to be here, and I love Infusionsoft and the community, so the ability to give back a service like today is, I'm really excited about that, so thank you. I'm going to take my keyboard back from you and start in here.
You can have it.
Thank you. Well, it seemed to give it to me, but there we go. There I am with my family. You know, I take a tip from Infusionsoft. They always start with the family pic to warm everyone up. It always works on me. I'm always like, oh, look at that family. And this is my better halves. So just a little about me. You know, I'm a database guy. I've been into it. I can't believe it's been 30 years now. When I was, I'm 42 now, so when I was 13, I had a Commodore 64 or a TRS-80, one of those. I had both. Created a database for my mother's Christmas card addresses in like an hour with a book, and it just was like, oh, yeah, what good is that? And never really thought, you know, here 30 years later, here I am talking about databases with people all over the world, so it's kind of cool for me. And, you know, it's just an inherent skill that I had. Other things I'm not so good at, but databases happens to be one that I can just breathe that language. So I'm going to do my best to simplify it down so everyone can use it today. That's the goal of this call. So I've done a lot of projects with some big corporations and small, some of them listed here. Right now I'm still doing a lot of work with apartments.com. And Hong Kong 911 was an interesting one. That was back in 2002. They were tracking all the police cars where they were, and every 7 seconds the cop cars were telling them where they were, which was really cutting edge for 2002. Nowadays you can find out where your spouse is every 7 seconds using Facebook. I'm also an Infusionsoft certified consultant and a certified conversion rate optimizer. Everyone's been talking about that a lot, and that's why I was excited to give this call today, because the baseline of your data can, before you run off and start split testing and reading the latest how-to on conversion rate optimization, you get your data right, and then you can figure out what's actually working or not, rather than having a bunch more tasks to do and a bunch more places to have to go check to see how you're doing. And so I did that through Pete Laha, who's probably the #1 CRO guy right now, and I was his first conversion rate certified optimizers. Love Boston sport teams. I bolded that as a gag when I was talking to Michael. Just realized I didn't unbold it, so I'm a little sad about the Stanley Cup right now. I like meditation, and I like using data and systems to win. I love puzzles, poker, you know, anything games of chance. That's fun. Hate to waste time and be bored, and that's why I'm going to do my best to keep you interested in the data here today. And also, this is to save you time and not waste your time with yet another marketing technique, but more something I'm hoping you can get some solid value out of. Conversion rate optimization, you know, it's a hot thing now. The searches are going way up on CRO. They're coming way down on SEO. And it's a methodology. And so it's not just, hey, should I have a blue button or a red button on my landing page? And it's not, hey, let's just try this different verbiage and see if it sells more stuff. It's you're gathering insight. So there's a process and a methodology behind it. And you're using that to find out, hey, if this, to systematically go about improving your business, where, hey, I'm going to try this new technique. I believe it's going to do this new result on this new metric. And because of that, I'm going to have more money in my bank account, presumably. And if not, I'm going to gain the following insight. And so it forces you to think strategically going into your marketing rather than, hey, I need to post on Facebook today, or hey, I need to do an Instagram to drive more customers. It actually makes you think more strategically, and it derives more value. And so that's what we're going to, and then you can take the insights learned from that one test on your one area of your site or your outbound call or your in-store promotion and apply that throughout your marketing so that all your channels can benefit from the insight you learned. So as I said, the metrics need to be in place because the goal is database decision making. So, you know, I've been in those conference rooms at Motorola where you got 10 people sitting around and the hippo, the highest paid person's opinion in the room, gets to decide what color the website's going to be because they like it the best. And that always drives some of the people, the implementers, nuts because, I mean, you want it, you don't want to be doing things based not on meaning. You want things based on data. You want things that you want to use facts, not just, hey, this person's got the clout, this is why we're doing it. And what I like about marketing analytics when I work with people is that everyone could have an idea and you can test it out and actually find right down to the individual picture, hey, you know what, Joe from accounting was right. That big picture of the lobster claw sold more lobster than the kid on the beach playing with a lobster, which I'm foreshadowing a scenario we're going to get into here. So the turn data into money is my business, which I've created around this concept, which is to serve owners with training that saves time and makes money, and to keep your eyes on the metrics and off the latest shiny marketing object. Because I used to be subscribed to a ton of marketing people, and you'd hear the new technique you needed, or the new, hey, you need to be blogging, or I have to do top 5 lists once a week. I need to do these many webinars, and it just created a lot of stress for me. And I may go into some of them and then find out they worked or not worked, and it was when you run around like an entrepreneur chasing after those shiny objects a lot, it can add more stress, and you don't always know what's working, what's not, particularly if you're doing a lot of things or if you have like 5 or 6 people working for you. You got an outsourced SEO firm, you hired someone for PR, you're trying radio, you're trying everything because you're an entrepreneur, and I love that. I'm one myself. And this is a platform that's going to help you to get the data into your CRM and know what actually worked and didn't at the end of the day. This is especially for the consultants out there like myself. How many times have you heard a person out there, a client say, well, yeah, if I knew what worked, I'll spend unlimited money once you find out what works. And I mean, obviously that's the case, but I'm going to give you some tools that are going to help you create a platform to find that out. Because you're still going to have to spend some money to find that out, but then you're going to be able to actually say, hey, I'm making this amount of money for every dollar I put in on this particular marketing channel. I know I can increase the spend here with much less risk than trying out something new yet again. So here's our value prop. For people that don't have time or money to waste in every marketing flavor of the month, marketing, analytics, and CRO give clear focus into which has positive ROI and which is terrible. And unlike long implementation periods, integrations are hard to quantify results. Money analytics and CRO will give clear ROI rapidly. So this goes back to I hate to waste time and be bored. If you guys follow me along today, you'll be able to go implement this later today. And if not, I can help you out via support or some other way that we can get into maybe once I see your questions, once we get done the presentation. So I'm gonna show you this by way of a real world case study that recently was completed with one of my clients, Get Maine Lobster. A friend of mine, Mark, and a longtime business associate, he had grew his business to a couple million from a lot of hustling, a lot of hard work, and then he plateaued out. And they'd been trying everything, you know, Twitter account, YouTube, Pinterest, I mean, everything, pay-per-click guys, tons of SEO, PR, I mean, all kinds of things. And at the end of the day, it was this tons of activity, tons of money spent out, some money coming back in, but when you've got a lot of things going on, it's hard to tell what worked and didn't work. And he was very interested in trying new channels or re-attacking pay-per-click potentially, but you know, he was a little gun shy. I mean, he's trying all this stuff, and it's hard to quantify what's happening. And so here's me and him debating. There's Mark. And I was always on him about Facebook. I'm like, you're on Facebook more than anyone I know. And he's like, well, I'm just trying to engage my customers. And I'm like, oh, geez, this marketing hype 101, which I'm not saying you don't need to engage your customers, but as an entrepreneur or a small to mid-sized growing business, you're bombarded with things you're supposed to be doing in marketing. And sometimes I watch with amusement as he was doing some of those things, and I'd be arguing with him that they weren't working, and he said, well, prove what's working and not, and that's what sort of hatched what you're going to start learning today. And to expand on that, here's all his different channels he was working, his website, his email list, all the different areas, and then it lead to just stress or what's working or what do I have to cut this month because maybe it didn't work, or hopefully the dollar sign obviously is what we're all going for here. So here's where we get into some of where the rubber meets the road here. Google Analytics is one thing where you come in and if you run a channel report or a campaign report, you're going to see a lot of things: campaigns not set and direct. And so here was one of his, I believe, December or November of last year. Direct is over. There are going to be directs in any business. That's when people just typed in your website or just clicked on a link that was just your website and went there. And so, yeah, you're going to have directs all the time. But when you have a ton of direct and you have no real insight here, like how do you act on this data? Okay, I have 30,000 people coming to my website from somewhere. Where did they come from? Was it my email? Well, I see there's an email down here that 8 people came to, which that one still blows my mind how that even got in there, by the way. I got these 30 people that came pay-per-click, and I mean, what happened? And potentially there's like 10 or 15 services you could go pay for that will give you some insight into this as long as you use their process and as long as you pay them every month. And when you stop paying them, that data goes away. What I'm going to teach you today is how to get this data into Infusionsoft so that you have the data, you have one less place you have to go look, and a lot of cool other things you can do with it. So here is this. A lot of people are going to have this, and you can't really do much. So here's what I sat out and did. I used a free tool called the Google URL Builder. I used something called Lead Pages, and Lead Pages isn't a necessity in this case. It can be driven to anywhere you have a hosted Infusionsoft form. I just happen to use Lead Pages in this particular case I'm going to show. And then you have some Infusionsoft custom fields and Infusionsoft hosted forms. And then the Lead Pages inserts into Infusionsoft, and then you export the data out into Excel, and you're going to get the reports I'm going to show you here in just a moment. The Google URL Builder is the URL juice. And you know what? I'm going to go there as well. So let me get this out. Pop over there. Just to show you how easy the form is. It's very undaunting. You put in a URL of where you want to go. Let's see, we're going to go to my website. You put a campaign source and a campaign medium and a term and a content and a name. And some of these are required and some of these are optional. The key thing to remember here is that it's going to aggregate by the exact term match. So aggregate both in Google Analytics. It's going to aggregate in your Infusionsoft once you follow the steps coming up. So you want to be very concise here. You want to always try to do the same process of how you type it in. And there's a way to do that with Excel or Google Sheets, which we'll get into near the end. But let's say campaign source here is Infusionsoft. I learn how to type Infusionsoft webinar. And I like to do, you can do spaces. I don't like to do them though, because then you have your percent, 20% in the way. Medium, this is a webinar. Campaign term is something that if you're doing pay-per-click, it's automatically going to populate the campaign term with whatever people clicked on. This is a Google tool, of course. But you can use this in your Facebook ads, or which you'll see in a few slides, or right here in any link for something else, for whatever you want to aggregate or get demographics on. So in this case, I'm going to say Mastermind webinar. So in case I do more of these, I might want to say June. So hopefully Michael likes this, has me back in October. I can have an October one. Campaign content, slide demo, and then campaign name. This would be maybe my CRO Analytics is the name of this, and then I hit submit.
And Scott, as you're doing that, I just want to point out that Scott's taking the time to walk through the descriptions of each of these verbally right now. This webinar is being recorded and will be archived, so if you're saying, wait, what did he mean by campaign term? What should I type in there? know that you will have access to go at your own pace by taking a look at that recording.
Good point. So when I take this URL, it's going to take me wherever I want it to go. And then these variables are going to be in the query string. And any technology that you're going to use that can do something with these variables, you can grab them, including Infusionsoft. You can grab them and put them in the hidden form fields, which is what we're going to do. And let me get back to my slides. Just wanted to pop out real quick to show you how easy that is. And you don't need to go do it from that. You can just take a URL and start typing this stuff in once you get handy with it. You can create an Excel macro where you type in things and it automatically generates the URL. Any way you want to get to this format, this being one string. I bolded the variables. Again, campaign, medium, source, content, and term. And I'm going to show you how we use them for in the lobster example, and then I'll make it a little more clear possibly. So after we've went about setting up his URLs, and whenever he posted, or as much as he posted, I shouldn't say he, there's a team of 8 people that work there. People doing blog posting, people doing his PR, people writing his emails along with him, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Email suddenly became, and particularly in email, we're on Infusionsoft, we're all email marketers here, you can encode all your email links when you broadcast or in your sequences, and then you'll start seeing which ones are driving traffic and which aren't. In this case, this was his about a month ago. He still has directs, but those are legitimate directs. 20% of his people are actually saying, oh, I'm going to go to Get Maine Lobster, clicked on from one of his links, or a URL that just wasn't set up in the past. You see here his email on Mother's Day, 3,700 people. That was a pretty solid performing email. And this is just the first level of insight. We're going to dig into each of these variables and how much power they can give you as we go. This is just the first of 7 levels here. Here is all those different emails, and so you can look through and see some of these to find out, hey, what's working and what's not. For example, FB Lob Special Post got 1% versus this email 12%. And that was the only one that actually made it on the first page, which made me happy. As you remember back in the other one, which I was debating about the, not happy, but more intellectually satisfied that, hey, the Facebook posts, maybe they work, maybe they don't, but your emails where I feel like you're making all your money. And in this case, it's showing that, hey, that's driving a lot of the traffic. Memorial Day didn't do quite so hot versus Mother's Day. So you see that huge drop, even though it went to the same list, 684 versus 3752. Obviously, hey, look at what time of day did I send that, what was the content, what was the type of message, what was the offer, which are all how we use these other variables I'm going to show you. But this obviously shows, hey, well, whatever we did here, we got to keep doing. And whatever we did down here, maybe we don't want to do so much. Mark's Fish Market. Of course, Mark's Fish Market other, we got to go check and see, hey, you see email, he did 1,273 with his Mark's Fish Market, and other he did 439. Well, that may be, if this only took 2 minutes to post a link, then that was still worth doing. If it was a whole process of Instagramming and he just didn't set the Instagram right, and this, that, and the other thing, and he's paying someone to do this piece, then maybe this wasn't worth doing. We'd have to dig further, which we're going to do.
Sure. So, Scott, on this page real quickly, I just want to maybe zoom out to a high level here, column by column. The middle column there, which you're referring to, where it says Mark's Fish Market, really that's a link that people are clicking and coming from, right?
Correct. So back here, they clicked on a link somewhere, and that was his Google Analytics, and that campaign value is Mark's Fish Market. Mm-hmm. And then the medium is either email, or it's not set, or it's showing other or referral. So those 2 variables are what we're using. Good point. I missed that. I'm glad you brought that up. So email was put in as the medium, and then Mark's Fish Market was the campaign.
Got it.
So
thanks for clarifying.
Good point. You know what? That cut off up there, I thought that was there. So I appreciate that. And then organic search, Google hides those now because you got to spend money to find out how people are coming. So that's unfortunate on that one. There's still ways to catch them on the opt-in form, but if they don't opt in, then you're going to be stuck with that. That's a new one. So this is the first level. You go into analytics and you see, hey, that's interesting. but it's not enough. It does show, hey, boy, email does drive traffic. That's great. I mean, we all knew that, but in this case, it's like, boy, email's doing well, and anything else I've been doing, this other Mother's Day did quite well, and this one did okay. But I mean, he'll have like 500-600 things in here. This just happens to be his. You're going to focus on the top 10 to 20, and that's where your value is going to be. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to capture, because you have Google Analytics back there, but this is an Infusionsoft call, and we want to get this data into the CRM, because then we're going to be able to see who's actually paying. And this comes in huge with pay-per-click. Pay-per-click, you can run these variables, which then you see which demographics are paying or which terms are adding up. And I know you have conversion pixel tracking, but that gets confusing when you're running multiple tests everywhere in different campaigns. And I've been with some pretty sophisticated people that are doing this, that I'm helping them debug these things, and the numbers never seem to quite be 100% of what Google says and what your CRM says. And ultimately, you want the data tied to the contact, because when you want to see your most valuable customers and what your value is per customer, you want to know, hey, how did I even find this person? You don't want to go on some goose chase or not have any idea. When you get your top 20 or top 20% customers, you want to be able to bucket them by, hey, where did I find them, and how do I find more of them, obviously. This would be your next step. So here's what we do. We go in and create custom fields, because we're going to store the values of these links when people come to the page. So for each UTM field, in this case UTM source, you're just creating a simple text field. I happen to create headers and tabs for each of them, but don't sweat that. Just the point being, you want to create a field to store these new fields. Then you're going to create a very simple web form campaign that's going to be, it says network difficulties. You still hear okay, Michael?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay, that popped up there. You're going to create a webinar, a form, and then go do stuff, whatever it is you want to do with these people after you collect them.
And to be clear on that, Scott, it's specific to the source, meaning if I have an email that I'm sending out versus an Instagram post, those are, in your eyes, those are two separate campaigns that need to be created.
No, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep.
It's only one campaign. The purpose of this is that you don't need to, because that's a way you can do it with Infusionsoft. You can. I used to do that, man. One landing page with one form, just so I could have a different tag.
But
and then I tried hidden fields. Yeah, I tried a hidden field where I put a big long variable, and then I did these little PHP things to pluck out the variables to tell me what went on. But now you're only going to create one campaign for your one offer, and then you can drive traffic from all your channels to one spot. Another good one. Thank you for bringing that up. So the only thing that's going to change, everyone's going to go to the same web form wherever you put this, but the source is going to change, and possibly one of the other variables if you're trying different content, if you're trying different pictures or different, headers in your ads. So you're going to do your hidden fields here, one for each variable, which you either know how to do hidden fields. You drag in your hidden field and you pick it from the drop down after you've created it. Now I like to name them exactly as they're going to match, which don't look beautiful on a report, but you can always rename a report. It's better just to match the variable names with the Infusionsoft field names so you don't go crazy if you're trying to figure out why one of your variables isn't mapping right. You don't have to suddenly try to remember what marketing flair keyword you used for your custom field. So this is a one-time thing, though. I'm glad. So then you got your hidden fields, and now you're going to map your form to your hidden fields. And there's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to pop into lead pages to show you how we do it with lead pages, because it's so easy to do in lead pages, and that's why I use it specifically for the Infusionsoft integration being so easy. So this isn't a lead page shill, but it is really nice and easy.
And as Scott's logging in here, it's important to realize kind of how this is shaping up. Regardless of where contact is coming from, what's going to happen is their contact record, because of the custom fields you created on in step 1 there, are going to populate automatically from the URL that you created, so that on a per contact basis now, you not only know exactly where they came from, but really specifically what marketing material brought them to your database. And this obviously unlocks another level of marketing capabilities with Infusionsoft's segmentation capabilities. But for reporting purposes, and I don't want to steal the thunder from you, Scott, this is going to be a huge upgrade.
No, not at all. So here, lead pages is showing visitors and opt-ins. This one's 20%, not too shabby. 58, this one's obviously killer. Let's go look at this guy. So I'm going to, this isn't a lead pages call, so I'm not going to get all into it. And again, there's a couple ways to map hidden fields to Infusionsoft forms. And I debated on whether getting into all of them and realized that that wasn't going to serve the interests of getting to the data. So I just want to show you briefly how it works. You come into a lead page and you say, hey, I want to integrate with Infusionsoft, and it will load up all your forms. It's pretty beautiful. And you just pick the one you want, say, okay, this is the Easter giveaway one we ran, which is no longer running, but did quite well. I think we had like 60% opt-in on this one, so that was pretty sweet. And then you go down to advanced options, if any of you have used this, and all your hidden fields will show up, hence hidden form fields. And a little caveat with lead pages, make sure you pick a lead page that has multiple form fields. And then you come in here and you just map them. You pick one. Here's our UTM source field. Pre-populate using this URL variable. That's what these things are. They're URL variables. You could even create your own. I like using Google's because Google then pumps into analytics, and obviously if Google Analytics, it's kind of a no-brainer to use that. But if you have some secret other ones like Scott's secret variable, I can put that into the URL and then place it here, and that's going to capture that as well. So it's kind of handy. So you do this mapping for each one. Come in here, you type in the name of whatever is going to show up in your URL, which let me pop back over here. So like right in here, this is the variable right here. And then this is the value that it's going to pluck out. So you're saying, hey, whenever anyone comes to that website, that URL for any reason, this lead page, grab whatever it is to the left, to the right of this equals, and toss it into this form. So that's how that works. So popped out there. Whoop, getting lost. That's coming up. That's all our data. So that's what this guy is. You know, I can help you a little if you need to. If you know lead pages, you're going to be fine. If you don't, I can certainly provide a little within reason tech support on that if need be. Don't hold me to a lot of hours of that. It's pretty straightforward. So let me get to the next one here. So now is just you publish the lead page and then you send traffic to the page. And you're going to edit these variables based on where, who, and how you're using the link. So just like Michael said, you got one offer page and you drive all your traffic there and you have 5 different dimensions you're going to be able to find out. Hey, what device got them there, which is medium? Was it a pay-per-click? Was it a blog post? You know, use very basic words that so when you're looking at the sea of data, it jumps out at you. In this case, webinar. If people go to this lobster deal, which is actually a legit page, I'll paste it in there. I'll see if any orders ended up coming from this webinar for Mark's site. You know, it should be kind of cool. Infusionsoft users, Infusionsoft, and it's Scott CRO Analytics. So again, these would be words that make meaning to you. Oh, I'm not very good at that. Just flipping to the next page. So then when that happens, the form's going to collect the data, and then you're going to export the data out with these fields, which I can walk through in Infusionsoft. If you feel that's of value, Michael, people maybe already know how to export data out.
Maybe in the question and answer session if somebody would like to see that exporting process, but basically it's a field search which allows you to export out from a contact query. So if someone does have a specific question for that, hold that, go ahead and type it into the question area, but for now go ahead and just speak to this report.
Okay, well what happens then is then you can pivot and you get all kinds of stuff here. This is live data from his particular site. What source brings me the most leads and customers? UTM source has been set, and here are where the people are coming from. In this case, Facebook got him 1,684 leads in 5 weeks. This is real time. So this was just generated this last week for the presentation. You're always going to have some blanks. As a data person, that drives me crazy, not knowing every single feed, every single person, but it is what it is. Radio show got them 132. Does that mean it's worthwhile or not? We're going to have to find out in one of the next slides whether these people spend any money or not. GML sidebar is an interesting one versus GML stay connected. GML stay connected was the phrase used for their old opt-in bar. They used to have something that said stay connected, get updates, the standard one people throw up that doesn't work anymore. And as you can see, they weren't really getting any organic leads from their site. So we changed it to GML_sidebar and put a new jazzy offer up there. And as you can see at 48 the first week, I think that beat the past 6 weeks. So this was a case where the data, we were like, he had that opt-in. I go, hey, is that working at all? He's like, I don't know. And I mean, this guy's a hustler. He built a $3 million business out of his condo in Chicago. So I mean, he's not an idiot. But at the same time, you're doing 20, 30 things. It's hard to keep track. So I put this tracking on in anticipation that my CRO, hopefully expertise, was going to help. And then I noticed, hey, boy, no one really likes that. Because this is a site that gets 30 to 80,000 people a month, and you're getting 3 opt-ins in the week. That's horrible. So we put in GML sidebar. Obviously, connected, still floating around somewhere. I'm not sure where that still is, but got 48 in the first 6-day range.
So we can give you credit for that, right, Scott? We can give you credit for that.
Well, we run quarterly contracts, so I can just show some ROI.
Awesome.
Or why is he going to pay me, obviously. So fortunately this does, which I'll happily show here in a few slides. So here's these people coming in from the sidebar, and this thing's done gangbusters. And to make this a visual for you, let me pop over to his site because I think he has it right on the home page. You scroll down, look at this guy, get 100 on your first order. That used to be just stay connected. I want to see if it's still there. And then you click here and up pops, this is called a lead box. Behind the scenes we got all those variables. And so in this case it would just show a direct. There's no variables in here. If there was query string in here with our variables like we're supposed to do now that I showed you, it would be stashed in behind the scenes. So you say, yeah, I love lobster, and you click it, and then this tag is a GML_sidebar source. Man, I gotta get better with my clicking here. Oh well, we're almost done. So that shows source. So first time order obviously is a good one for him. I mean, he does a lot of joint ventures with people, drive orders. Facebook pay-per-click, which we're going to get into in a minute here. Dano is some like part-time salesman. He's a good salesman. He's not so technically savvy. So some of these blanks might be coming from Dano. It's tough to say. He might want to get better at it so he gets more credit with Mark. Now we do third level of insight. So there's the UTM_campaign field, which is what offer. In this case, we've tried $100 off on opt-in. Buy 6 tails, get 6 free. We did an Easter giveaway. Dano on the radio. Good old Stay Connected, which has an email campaign, and then Blank, which is someone without a campaign, which would be affiliates coming over with first-time order. Which those affiliate campaign links in Infusionsoft can be tracked as well, but just wasn't set up for whatever reason. So in this one, you look and you see, man, buy 6, get 6 tails is doing quite well, and versus 100 off on opt-in. Well, then you have to go look at the traffic, which is another whole level of this. But as you can see, you can test different marketing messages and see really quickly. Or if you've got 5 Infusionsoft campaigns running, you can go into Infusionsoft and see them, but here you can pull them out and see counts and see them all at once, compare them all. So this is a good way to, once and for all end those marketing debates of what works and what doesn't for you. The UTM medium field is what activity is bringing me the most leads or contacts, I should say. In this case, pay-per-click is doing quite well for him. His online page stuff, which would be that GML sidebar, would also have the medium field of page. That one's doing fair, but it goes to show, hey, you're going to spend a lot of time blogging for people to opt in, or are you going to spend more money on pay-per-click? Now, you can't analyze that in a vacuum. You need to know everything going on, but I will say that as a busy company of 8 people, they know, hey, you know what, worrying about driving traffic to our blog isn't some huge ROI necessarily when we can sit back and have pay-per-click bring us 1,600 leads, assuming these leads are converting at a positive ROI, which that's Insight 7, by the way, so we're going to get there. Orders, obviously this guy's pretty psyched. He's got 633 coming in just from orders. There's radio. Dan's gift of gab. That was my own gag on the salesman. 5th level of insight, what content? See, now in this one, the content, actually I mislabeled that. I put source, that's actually content for those of you following along still. This is where you can tag what image or maybe what blog post name. If you're guest posting somewhere, you can put the name of the post. If you're split testing, you want to put in split testing, this is the split test field. This is going to tell you, hey, so see one lobster tail 1, one lobster tail 2. That doesn't say much to you here, but we keep track. One lobster tail 1 is this, someone cracking open a lobster tail, and it's like a lemon and it's zesty. And lobster tail 2 is actually a row of lobster tails, kind of like 6 tails on a platter.
So it's just different visual attractors and how they affect the leads that are generated.
Yep. And as you can see, after I ran this, it's like we're actually meeting later today. It's like, well, you know what? I think we need to put one lobster tail 2 to bed. Before you might not know that. You'd run everything to one offer, or maybe you split test, and it's possible to find that out. But you can run all your traffic and find out, hey, we know for sure, get rid of this tail.
We're getting into some pretty detailed insights now, which is awesome, and I definitely recommend that you guys take the time to kind of look back over this presentation at some point. But let me just ask you this, and we'll press pause before we hop into some of the other insights. If I'm a first-time person setting this up, what level of insight, I guess you would say, what are the required URL parameters that I have to add, and is that the first 3 levels, which is, can you just reiterate those for us?
Sure. Let me go back to that slide. I would do all of them because it's the same amount of work. You're just typing in at actually, let me just go to the Google page. Let me paste it out there. Do my first go-to meeting chat out here. So chat. Go to that page and fill them all in, at least when you're first starting, because you never know when you might have some, you want to track immediately, because the very next link you do, you should do this, because right away you'll have some insights as to what's going on. Now, if you don't know what you want to put here, yeah, leave that one, leave term blank, leave content blank. But I would put them all in, because it's not like, hey, I have more work to do, I need a new variable. It's just typing in one more word.
Gotcha.
So just type in your words here. Now, ideally, you'd start tracking them in Excel, so then you can pick systematically pick these links. But we'll do that at the end for people that are still with us and still hanging in there. And just use it. Don't worry about this term's going to come back to haunt me. I mean, it is going to be stored in Google Analytics, but whatever makes sense to you. See, in this case, slide demo, webinar June, webinar, that's where I am. They give you little examples. Referrer, this is the Infusionsoft webinar, campaign name, and you can change your mind, and then you just change the link. Lots of times you're going to create an offer page. Most of these are going to be the same, and you're going to just be changing the webinar and maybe the content, which is where you're putting it. So use to differentiate ads. If you don't have any ad differentiators, then you just write the one ad. And of course, Google's trying to drive you because this is all about pay-per-click, but it's not. It might just be, if you're a brand new Infusionsoft user, this is going to be welcome campaign. Or excuse me, the campaign name will be welcome campaign. Just even welcome. And then the content could be email 1. Now, when you're looking at this, you're going to wish you had said what the subject was. It could be, welcome to Infusionsoft. Because this is a way to find out which emails are actually getting people to come click and which ones aren't.
Awesome.
To do it this way. And then you have it all in, you can compare your email versus all your other stuff. That's the beauty of this. You don't have to log in separately to your Facebook, then your Google pay-per-click, then your Infusionsoft, then if you're not using Infusionsoft Cart into your Cart program, you can do it all from one spot, which saves you a ton of time and gives you a lot of insight into where you need to be focusing and where you're wasting your time, particularly on blogs. You spend all this time on blogs, and if you have the traffic or it's converting to customers, it's killer. If it's not, then you're wasting your time, probably a lot of it. And so
Cool. Thanks for clarifying that. I think that's the part that we need to understand is if we're doing this for the first time, that at least for me, I'm not sure what I would need to type in, but after you just clarified it, it's just another level of insight that gets more specific into the reporting that you can do, and that segues back into this fifth level here, which is we're literally looking at different content pieces and their success rate. I mean, if we're trying to, I guess you would say, use less technical terminology, it's just different content pieces, right?
Different content pieces, and then I can drag in even and say by medium or by source and say, okay, I ran the lobster tail one without doing anything else. Have it all. A lobster tail one pick I put on YouTube and on my blog and on email and in Facebook. How many leads did I get per content? Because sometimes some content's going to kill on one and do terrible on another. But the point is, when you get to the point where you want to think about that, you already have all the data. You don't need to say, oh, I should have thought of that. You have it all whenever you decide to ask the question, which is what's kind of nice. Particularly when you start running pay-per-click, which if you don't have a lot of traffic to split test, you just need to be doing that. This is going to instantly tell you which pay-per-click things are working. And I'm going to get into that, I think, two more slides here. So here's one which might get you thinking to use Facebook ads once you see how he did here. UTM term, if you're at that Google link, it says to be used for ads. And if you're running Google AdWords, it's going to automatically put whatever term the person happened to be searching on is already going to be there, which is a great thing to have. If you're only searching on one term, if you're only advertising on one exact term, I guess this doesn't have a lot of meaning for you. But this one, I'm not going to get into it too much because this one is where it gets complicated. But this is in Facebook, the audience we targeted. Males, 40 to 55, like Boston sports, don't live in New England. We got 55 leads there. And then here's women, 55 to 64, Boston sports, got 112. And then here's women 40 to 55 that like seafood, because you can do all sorts of targeting with Facebook. And here's lookalike. Lookalike is when you take your email list, you upload it to Facebook and say, find people like that. This is the lookalike. And so the drop-off here is because we're testing all kinds of different things to then unleash a torrent of ads in June. So we were testing out different scenarios, and they were all doing well. Now you may say, now at this point, these are the leads generated by that. So we know we have, and it's kind of nice to know something about your, obviously it's nice to know about your contacts. Particularly then, it drives other marketing when someone's saying, hey, do you want to come advertise on my website or sponsor my email list? Well, what's your target demographic? And they're going to say, oh, it's women approaching retirement age. He's going to say, yeehaw, I want to do that. And then if it's like 30-year-old skateboarders, we didn't even get any of those, so it's not going to be. That's a pretty extreme example to make my point. Skateboarding has nothing to do with lobster.
Other than maybe they don't have the ability to afford it if they're
true. Maybe not. There's a lot of wealthy skateboarders, so I don't mean to say that. I like skateboarding myself. So, but the point being that you're getting some really sweet data, and it's in your CRM. Because you can go to Facebook and see this, but when it comes down to, hey, who ordered, and like you see your top 10 customers, or if you're doing personal coaching and you've got your graduated levels of products, hey, you can buy my ebook, and then you can do my mastermind, and then there's my personal coaching. Well, at the end of a year, when you're like, hey, I've got these 10 clients that are all paying me all this great dough, and I'm doing all these great things for them, and then these 2 didn't pan out, you can see where they came from, even on a small level like that. Because a year from now, you may or may not remember what happened. Probably you won't. In this case, whenever you have these questions, you've got your answers. Okay, so this one's a doozy, but this one has the most value. So let me walk through what's going on here. And I only chose one, and this solved our debate, actually. So I chose the source field. Here's our source. Here's the grand total of the leads. Now here's where you can take it a lot further. I brought in how much these leads cost. And in this case, his website obviously cost him nothing. So I can see how much did these leads cost. So in this case, for him, Facebook's cost him $1.43 a lead. Well, that's great. I have leads, but big whoop. How many people are customers? Well, this has actually gone up. It's 70-something customers in even the 4 days since I did this slide. So 52 customers he got from Facebook pay-per-click. Brought him $10,541. That's obviously kind of nice on $2,400 spend. 3% are buying. His cost per sale is $46, but his ROI was $4.36. So he knows that he's got an ATM machine pretty much before you take into account his cost of goods, which Lobster is it's all over the place, you know. So he has to be. It's very interesting with that. Then you look at some of these other ones. Partner sales. Well, he did a ton of those. He has to pay a juicy commission. So he did $396K. But it cost him $79K in terms of commission. But then that was out of commission, so it's not like he's shelling that out of his pocket. So obviously sales conversion is 100% because they only get on his list if it buys. ROI is $5. So hey, still keep going out there and finding partners to sell your stuff. Now these ones are kind of way high because you'd have to put the cost in of what it cost you to put this functionality in the site, which is kind of. So it's great for people that have organic traffic. Yeah, your ROI is through the roof if you have organic traffic just coming to your website. It's fantastic, and it shows. Hey, the ROI is amazing on organic if you have it. So God bless you if you do. Most of us have to pay-per-click our way to success. Now Dano, the salesman, not $1.27. He's doing okay, but I think he was like a part-time guy, $1,000. But either he needs to get better at his tracking, he's doing more, or maybe he's not doing. He needs to up his game a little, or change his tactics, or who knows what.
So
and then
Scott,
the radio show. One more thing here, Michael.
Yeah, go
so
ahead,
the radio
sorry.
show, 132 did no sales.
Not
So
good.
no one went to this radio show special link that they were going to get a special radio show deal. No one did that. And then all other sources did nothing. So his blog or his Facebook posting or Twitter, which I know he has, and he has Instagram, did no sales. Now it's possible they did some and they didn't post the links right, but I know that they do try to follow the process on all their channels. So it goes to show, hey, you know, you had that marketer tell you, hey, Instagram's hot right now. Well, it wasn't hot for him, and it could be he's not using it right. It could be that no one's thinking to buy Lobster when they're on Instagram. Probably the case. But the point is, when you have all these positive ROI things, are you maximizing these? Then you worry about the new things. And he does. He goes after partners like a madman. His pay-per-click, we're going to go kill it. And then, obviously organic traffic is always welcome. All right, Michael, what are you going to test me?
I'm going to have at you. I'm wondering, so this is obviously an amazing report. In this specific example, the revenue data, is that something that they're pulling from Infusionsoft? Are they selling through an e-commerce or are they selling from a different e-commerce platform? Can you just talk about a little bit about where each of these numbers come from, like total cost for leads and total revenue, etc.?
Sure. These came from Infusionsoft. We actually sell through another cart and then insert it into Infusionsoft. Because Lobster, you got to pick your arrival date. And then you got to make sure that the lobstermen are working. It's live foods. The lobstermen don't work on Sundays, so you can't get it on Mondays, and there's all kinds of rules built into that.
Yep.
So this is pulled from Infusionsoft, the customers and the revenue per this contact UTM source. So
Gotcha.
we go in and say, hey, Facebook, yeah, so that's all. Now these are just Excel formulas, divide by this. So cost per click in this case is, price divided by clicks. This is leads divided by cost. Or excuse me, cost divided by leads. So
Great.
that's just the percentage. So these are just basic math formulas. So you do need to so some of these are plugged in, but a lot of these are just from even if you don't do all this and you just say, hey, you just run your order export with your contact fields, you can just quickly say, hey, 10 grand from Facebook, nothing from the radio. Stop worrying about this radio PR campaign. Someone said, this, it's just not suitable for this particular business. I'm not saying this means radio is bad is the devil. It's the devil for the lobster business. No one hears the radio and says, oh, let me pull over and buy some lobster. A great idea, Or it could be the mechanism. The medium was bad. We should have had it be a call tracking. Tough to say. For sure, but it goes to show the way they did it this time is not the way to ever do it again. So there was a lot of prep behind that, and all excitement, and then nothing came from it.
Cool.
And then so partners is obviously where it's at for him, which is what he works on. And then now Facebook's this whole new revenue source, which is kind of nice. And then, so that's that. Let me see. I got
7 levels of insight. Yeah, go ahead. Let's wrap up because I see some. We're getting close to that hour mark, and I see some great questions coming in, and I want to make some time for that.
Great. Okay, so CRO, you're going to see every marketing guru talk about it now. It is a great thing to improve performance at the speed of your traffic, but it's a methodology. It's not just, hey, download this tool and split test my different picture, because you need to have a process in place of the psychology of why they're doing it, why you're making the change, or the psychology of your customer. The pay-per-click is a must, in my opinion, if you don't have enough traffic, because if you are going to get into CRO, you want 250 outcomes per test. Every 2 weeks, that's in pay-per-click, maybe you need to take that out. Just 250 outcomes whenever the test gets done. So if you start a test and you say, hey, I'm going to go do CRO, this is awesome, I got these analytics in place, and the first 10 sales come in through one split test, that doesn't mean you kill the other one. Dozens and dozens of examples of where the slow starting test picked up and passed. So that's just a little reminder there. SEO, I got some clients trying to do SEO, and it's tough, man. You got to spend some decent amount of dough, whereas pay-per-click, you can get your ROI back, your numbers, and know what's working and not working in a week. And furthermore, with these analytics, it forces you to look very, very quickly, particularly if you're doing pay-per-click, at your funnel, which is way more important than running around. I disagree. Some people will say, oh, I need more traffic. No, just drive some paid traffic and find out if your funnel even converts your optimal customers. Because if it doesn't, you're wasting your time and everything else. I've done that as an entrepreneur. I had a meditation site that was doing okay, but I got lost in all these techniques and driving traffic, and rather than worrying about my funnel, and it cost me a lot of money and time. So here's some free treats I can offer for those that have hung in there. Here's a link. As you can see, it's encoded. I'll put it in there. Whoop. Previous. Trying to copy and paste. Oh, I got to escape out to do that, looks like. You go here. I'll have your encoded link, so I'll know if anyone came.
You're practicing what you preach.
Yes. So see, there it is, the campaign, and this might help with this might help you with the understanding. I've got my campaign is the webinar, medium is webinar, source is Infusionsoft. I could put Michael there as well. My content is the CRO analytics, and my demographic or my pay turn is Infusionsoft users. So I'll see in analytics how many people clicked, and then I'll see on my lead page if people, obviously in my CRM, people will opt in. And what I can do for you, if you go in there and fill out that form with your stats, I can create a quick analysis of where CRO can benefit you the most, because there's your offer, there's your opt-in, there's your sales process, there's your emailing. And by giving me some numbers, I can quickly spin up a sheet to tell you, hey, your first place you should be looking at is right here, based on what I've learned from doing some conversion rate optimization work and what I know about data. So it'll save you some time, because obviously this is constant optimization you can be doing everywhere. So I can help with that as a service for you taking the time to get this far.
I've also.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've also underneath that chatted out the link to Scott's marketplace page on Infusionsoft. So if you need his contact information directly, feel free to check out that Google short link. I know we're giving you a couple of different links here. It might make sense just to pop them up and bookmark them as we talk through them. And I know Scott has a lead pages link for you as well here.
Yep, so that's a lead page. If you do want to buy lead pages, great. You know what? I have an affiliate link, but that's not really my business. So, if people are interested in it, I'll send it over. I get like $30. Not really the point of the call. But if you do want lead pages, then what the hell? I'll send that over. And then if we end up working together for whatever reason, I'm going to do what's called a Google Sheet link encoder. Let me show you this. Because now if you get into doing this, if you're like, man, this is awesome, I want to do this. Let me just go show from our lobster point here. They're on it every day. You're going to have a bunch of people creating links for you possibly, and you don't want to have to always remember how to type it and whatnot. So what you do is you create this little thing where you just pick from the drop-downs. Hey, I'm doing my 7 Tails campaign. I'm doing it by email, and the source is a broadcast, or it could be whatever your campaign is. The content is a recipe, and then it automatically creates the link for you. Then you just copy and paste it. So that's another way to do it. You can do this in Excel. It's just using lookup tables. If we end up figuring if it ends up that we work together, I'll create one of these for you.
Very cool.
Little bonus there.
So let's do this. Let's hop into the questions here as we're at the hour mark. I do want to take 30 seconds, no more, no less, to give you all the opportunity to let us know what you thought about today's call. So I'm just going to pop up a quick poll, and then I see there's probably 15 questions or so here that I want to hop into. I know today's call was very advanced in terms of the analytics data that we got into. There's a little bit of technical jargon that was going into it, but this is something that's a game changer. So if it was something that may have gone in one ear, out the other, maybe a little bit over your head, don't worry about that. Know conceptually that if you're looking to start to track the success of your marketing materials and specifically on a per contact basis, then this is the mastermind call that you'll want to reference in order to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and close that down, and we will hop into some questions here. So I appreciate that. All the great questions that have been coming through. So I'll just start at the top here. Scott, feel free to pop up the question box as well. But I have Chris asking, to be clear, once I have a URL that's created, where would I post that? So just give a couple. This is a perfect example right here that you're showing. You want to know people that have come to this webinar specifically. He's used a personal example here, but if you could clarify just a little bit, where do you post those links?
Whenever you're promoting your business, you post these links, because then that's the only way you're going to learn. Well, that's the most effective way you're going to learn what worked. So I just posted this in the chat while I was on a webinar. Well, now let's say the same thing happened, and I'm gonna post it somewhere else. I'm gonna take the link. Let me just put it in the notepad. And then I could just change and I know this is a little jumbled because we're doing this quickly. I'd do it in the medium. I could put it in as a post and then do LinkedIn, for example. Let me find, where's source, Infusionsoft?
All the way on the right, yeah.
Yeah, so if I change my source to LinkedIn, and then I can say, hey, then I go to that source or Facebook or whatever. So I'm going to go to LinkedIn. Here I am. Hello.
There you are.
Webinar attendees. And then
and you can hyperlink that as well. Obviously, these are a little bit messy when it comes to the length of them, but LinkedIn automatically shortens, and if it doesn't automatically shorten, feel free to use a shortener to do so.
Yeah, and then that shows the LinkedIn. So then see, boom, 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 it did some thinking, and now they're here, and it has all my campaign stuff. So see, now the medium is a post, source is LinkedIn. So if someone clicks on my LinkedIn, I know they came from that one. Now, that's probably not going to be the greatest post because anyone that's not on this, that's not also going to LinkedIn to see me, won't do much with this. But, you know, I go click on it and opt in, and then I know, hey, the LinkedIn worked. Someone got curious and clicked on it.
Very cool.
I don't know if that helps.
No, it does. That was a good example.
If you're doing a blog post, it could be post, sources, blog. That's probably, everyone probably has a blog, I imagine. Blog. And then your content would be the name of your blog post. Blog post, and you can do dashes instead of underscores if you want. Term I could just leave out. Probably wouldn't make much sense to have a term because it's just, or it could be called blog readers. Actually, I like that idea because then I'm going to be able to see in the term thing that they were blog readers, and then the webinar. So when I blog about this on my blog, this would be the link, and then I say at the bottom of the blog, hey, if this interests you and you want to get your own calculator, click here, and I put this in, and then I know, hey, that post got me these 5 leads, and then one turned into this fantastic opportunity. And then I know, oh, so people do read my blog and opt in. Versus maybe you've been blogging for a month and are wondering, is it worth doing? Go in and re-encode all your blog posts with this process, email it out, and then see if anyone actually goes in through the blog and opts in. Well, actually, that's a bad example because they're already on your list.
They're already on your list,
Put that on and then see if any of your traffic is opting in from your blog post. And you know, hey, I should really go crazy on blogs, or, man, I can't believe I wasted all that time. Hopefully it's the former.
If you want to
tell you either way.
Scott, if you want to throw up that slide with the links on it as we continue here, I know a couple people are asking for the links that you have for lead pages and such. Okay, so Nick asks a great question. Nick, thanks for joining us again. I know you're a regular here on the mastermind calls. Do you take it? And this is more of a strategy call for you. Do you take into account branding? For example, with the radio show and the lobster example, they didn't get any sales, but they did get They got no sales, but they did get exposure. Or do you personally, Scott, ignore branding when it comes to all the different levels of? You had your 7. I forgot the terminology.
Yeah, I ignore it completely because I shout out to Terry, who is from Chicago. I'm actually at Wolfram Street right now, Terry, Halstead and Diversey. If you're in the neighborhood, we can grab lunch after. A lot of friends of mine are high up ad agency people in Chicago. It's a big, and one of them, if anyone ever used to get USA Today with the Dell insert, she was the media spender. Very good friend of mine, Kelly. And I saw how much money people spend for the branding, and they have no idea what worked and didn't work. You just, even these big brands that do this, they have the money, and they may know because of sale uplift overall, but they couldn't track to, this tracking is better than what those companies used to be able to get. I mean, now everyone and their mother is all into these analytics, so they can track better, but I ignore branding because particularly if you're just starting out up to 20 million or so, you need to just focus on what works. You can't be doing things for the sake of brand. So
perfect.
That's my opinion.
Sounds good. A great question by Chris, and that step 1 when you were showing the setup process is really what I think he's referencing when he asks, how are you incorporating Infusionsoft analytics into this process, if at all? Well, Infusionsoft analytics is a pretty high-level term, but really it's the custom field connection. So can you speak towards that just for another second to clarify?
Sure. In terms of reports within Infusionsoft, I don't use them. I export the data out. So I create custom fields that hold these variables, and I export them out and then do my own Excel pivot tables to provide more power. And there's actually 1 or 2 more columns here where you can map the cost of all these different things as well and then pivot on the cost in the profit. But I export. So I don't use almost any of them. No offense, Michael.
No,
it's an opportunity.
not taken.
I'm actually working on this massive dashboard project, but it's not easy.
We're here to help small businesses succeed. The analytics in Infusionsoft serve a very important function, but if you're looking to take things to the next level, hence the name of these webinar series, a mastermind, we want to make sure we're showing you that you have that functionality. I have a great question from Steve that says, can you put links into hidden fields from images to see if people are coming from clicking on photos? I think I know the answer here, which is absolutely. You can put a link behind an image. But that's definitely a strategy that you'll want to use rather than using a text link per se. Using images is extremely effective when it comes to converting on with clicks.
Oh yeah, we do that a lot. And in the template email for referral partners to send out, we have a photo and then we have a text link and a button link, and each is a different each has a slightly different code to see which one is getting the traffic, to see if it's the image versus the button versus the text, which that's getting a little crazy. You don't need to do that. I just like doing it because I obviously like data. But you don't need to get to that level. But the answer, definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. So I'm going through a lot. Brian is speaking praises of today's call. He likes that this is something that's functional and not so much theory, which is always awesome. Um, um, I like how Susan says lobster sales may have been poor because they may have used a radio station called W_I hate seafood _RP. So Susan's throwing a crack at us, which is great. Hopefully they didn't use a radio station that was anti-seafood, but it seems like that was zero sales. Cassandra, if you're still here, a little bit of clarity. I would need a little bit of clarity on your question. You said, can you explain the lookalike a bit? Is it looks like the client or person running the ad?
That's a custom audience, and it's the ability in a Facebook pay-per-click to give them your list and say, find people like this.
Gotcha.
You're going to spend in trust that they do, and that campaign has a decent ROI, but actually our more laser targeting is working a little better. But that's just for lobster. I mean, it's worth it if you have a decent sized list and your customers are loyal. Then it's kind of a no-brainer to at least see what Facebook's data is going to help you track down for an audience if you have the budget.
Awesome. Connie's asking for more custom fields because she knows she wants to use this. Connie, that's a question we get all the time. Not sure if we're going to be adding more custom fields based on the infrastructure of Infusionsoft as of now, but it doesn't hurt to keep requesting. So it looks like I got all the questions that I see here. I'll hang out for another 30 seconds or so. If you have any more questions that pop to mind, please feel free to ask. I do want to reiterate my thanks to Scott. This is a topic that that definitely adds value for those of you who are able to join us today. So I know that it was an hour well spent, and Scott, if there's any last words or parting words that you'd like to leave, I'll give you the opportunity to do so here. But thank you so much for taking the time.
No, it was an honor. I was glad I could give something back. So thanks for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. If any questions hit you right when I close the webinar, feel free to reach out to me via Twitter at Michael Edelman, and you have the links up here as well. I'll try to get this archive up by the end of today, so the Mastermind archive on our help site will be the place to go. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week here on the Infusionsoft Mastermind webinars. Thank you.